Hi everyone, this is attorney Lillian and I am here today with your Tuesday tip. So, when you are applying for DACA, you have the ability to also apply for advanced parole with Form I-131. If you already have your DACA and you have not filed this form, then you need to listen because you need to know exactly how to go about it. So once your DACA is approved and your advanced parole is approved, you are now able to travel outside of the US. Do not travel outside of the US until you have your DACA approved and your advanced parole approved. Both of those two things is what you need to be able to leave the US and come back safely. In order to actually qualify for advanced parole, you need to show your reason for needing to travel. So the reasons that DACA recipients can travel is very limited, okay? If you were applying through family, through a spouse, you can just apply for advanced parole. You don't need to even give USCIS a reason, but with DACA, not only do you have to give a reason, you have to document your reason, okay? So it's not just, oh, I want to travel, I want to go on vacation. They specifically say that trying to go on vacation is not a reason that DACA advanced parole can be given. So going on vacation is out for a reason to go on advanced parole or to apply for advanced parole, okay? So what are the reasons that you can travel? 1 is employment, 2 is education, and 3 is humanitarian. So I'll break down each of those for you. Let's start with employment. So let's say you are working for an employer and they have a conference, a business meeting, or something that's crucial to your role that they want you to attend. So let's say your company usually has a company-wide conference that they do, or company-wide meeting that they do every single year. And this year is going to be outside of the US. And you, as an employee, must attend this meeting. You are able to then apply for advanced parole so that you, as the employee, can actually attend this meeting and maintain your role with the company. The same for if there's a business meeting that you need to attend for the company or on behalf of the company, a conference that's specific to your industry that you need to attend on behalf of your company. Those are all reasons that you are able to get advanced parole based on your employment. So let's say you are in school, there's a program that you want to do, let's say a summer abroad or a seminar, but it's required for a program at your school and you want to attend that program. The program happens to be outside of the US. How can you actually attend? You need to apply for advanced parole. Okay, so these are the different types of programs. So if there's a study abroad, if there is a course you're taking that has an international travel component, so where it's like an immersive week abroad, right? You're visiting another country for a purpose that's related to the course that you're taking, that's also allowed. Now, if you are just taking one course and that one course has an international travel component or international component, you are still able to apply for this DACA advanced parole based on this course. So for example, if you have a sick relative, a death in your family of an immediate relative, seeking medical treatment for yourself, those are all reasons that you can get DACA advanced parole. Now remember, when it comes to all these things, you need documentation. So if you are seeking medical treatment outside of the US, you need to document the reason why you're not able to get that treatment in the US. The treatment that you need. If you have a sick relative or an elderly relative that you want to see before it's too late, that's another humanitarian reason to be able to apply for advanced parole. If you have a death in your family of an immediate family member, so a parent, a spouse, a child, a sibling, you are also able to apply for advanced parole to attend the funeral, to be with your family in this difficult time. The obvious benefit is being able to travel outside of the US and come back. You're able to travel for work, for your education, or to visit a sick or elderly family member. That is all great reasons to apply for DACA advanced parole so that you get those benefits that you actually want. All right. Now, the disadvantages are it's risky. Okay. Some DACA recipients could get stuck outside of the US. So there's a risk to it, and you have to know if you are in that category that is really risky. So think about it, talk to an immigration lawyer, make sure that they're looking at your entire history before you go out on advanced parole. Let's talk about the benefit of going on DACA advanced parole for people that entered the country without authorization. So let's say you came into the US, you entered through the border, you did not have any permission to enter the US, you did not have parole, you did not have a visa, right? You entered the US, and now you're married to a US citizen, you're under DACA, you want to know, how can I adjust in the US without having to leave? Because for most people that enter without authorization and are married to a US citizen, they can apply for adjustment of status outside of the US, right? They cannot apply to get their green card in the US. They must leave the US, go to an interview at the embassy, and then come back in. But if you are married to a US citizen, you are under DACA and you qualify for advanced parole under DACA, you are able to travel, come back into the US, and that travel outside and back into the US, that qualifies as an inspection. That qualifies as now you are no longer in the US without authorization. So you are now able to apply for your green card through your spouse that's a US citizen right here in the US. So that is an added benefit that people don't really think about when they're looking at whether to apply for advanced parole under DACA or not. All right. So I've talked about what DACA advanced parole is, all those things, right? We've talked about a few things, but let's go into some warnings, because I don't want you to just apply for DACA advanced parole, leave the US without knowing that there's things you need to think about, you need to consider before you even travel, okay? Let's get into these warnings. One, do not travel outside of the US without your DACA approved. So if you're doing a renewal, make sure you have your renewal approved before you travel outside of the US. Two, that you have your advanced parole document approved and in your hands, all right? Do not stay outside of the US past the time that you are authorized based on your advanced parole document. If you are outside of the US without your advanced parole document, or you stay past the time that your advanced parole document gives you to be outside of the US, know that you will be losing your DACA status, and you may not be able to come back into the US for a very, very, very long time. And then finally, you will be inspected at the border. So when you're flying it back into the US or driving back into the US, you will be inspected. There is going to be a CBP officer that looks at your advanced parole document, looks at your information, and makes the decision, the final decision of whether to let you come back into the US or not. Let's talk about the documents you need for each of these reasons for DACA advanced parole. For employment, you need to document whatever meeting, conference, interview, whatever it is that you are traveling for on behalf of your employer. You need to have documentation of that and include that in your application for advanced parole. If you are applying based on an educational reason, you need to make sure you include the documentation. So if you're doing a semester abroad, you need to document that you have registered for the school, right? And that you are registering for semester abroad, so that it shows that you are actually in the course to travel. All right. And if you are traveling based on humanitarian reasons, if it's a sick relative, an elderly relative, make sure you are documenting the medical records, right? You should have medical records for the relatives that are sick or are elderly, so that USCIS can actually look at your application and see, okay, there's a reason that this needs to be done now rather than later. All right. You need to include birth certificates and other proofs to show that the family members are actually your family members. Okay. So if you're saying that someone died, let's say you're saying that a sister died, you need to not only show that the person did die, but you also have to show that they also were your biological sister or adopted sibling, right? You need to document both of those two things, not just that the person is no longer here. All right. Okay, so that is your tip for today. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. And if you like this video, go ahead and share it. If you know someone who needs to hear this, go ahead and share the video with them. If you like what I'm talking about, like the video. And if you're watching in a place that you can subscribe and you do not want to miss any of my uploads, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And I am Lillian Chukura. I am the lawyer and owner of Lillylegal, where we help our clients get status for themselves and for their family using the U.S. immigration law system. Thank you. Bye.